What's going on, everybody? Good morning. Welcome to a special Saturday edition of the Club JG podcast. I'm your host. Just gonna get right into it. We had two solid conference championship games in the NFL. Well, one sided, so to speak. Eagles and 49ers, 31-7. Obviously, we know this game would have been totally different if Brock Purdy didn't get knocked out the way he did. It was unfortunate to see because we were really, a lot of us, including me, were looking forward to this matchup. Really since the playoffs began, and even before that, because we saw how good San Francisco was coming along. We saw how great Brock Purdy looked, and to me, like I was definitely still on the fence about him being the starting quarterback moving forward. I thought that we would have either Tom Brady or possibly Trey Lance coming back, and they would take the reins. I feel very different about that now, for obvious reasons. One, the great legendary Tom Brady, 7-time champion, has officially called it quits again. But this time, I actually believe him. I don't know if you guys got a chance to check out his Instagram posts and really like kind of look into as he looked into the camera. I could tell that he was very actually serious about that this time. I could tell that he actually wanted to walk away. I could tell that he was actually done with the game. I think he's honestly he looked like a 45-year-old man that is truly exhausted and truly just like done with football. He's ready to move on and just kind of like start life without it. And I think, well, first of all, he's got like a $300+ million deal just kind of sitting there waiting for him if he wants to continue to be an analyst, which I think will be awesome. It'll be awesome for the game, be awesome for fans to see, kind of keep Tom Brady in the limelight with the NFL. And he could have just stayed retired last year, and no question about it, just the most guaranteed first ballot Hall of Famer in NFL history that we'll ever see. The resume speaks for itself. I made a joke with my friend saying that I think I was making a joke. I would say that Gronk and Brady would stay retired for one more year and then they would try to come back, for one last run with the Patriots or something like that. But honestly, just thinking about it and looking at what Tom Brady said and just kind of watching the video, I think he's actually retired for good. So my thought with him going to San Francisco is out the window. And really, I think Brock Purdy has proven that this is his team and he is ready to be the quarterback of the future for the Niners. I think that he's shown enough. I think he's been just very efficient. He's been smart with the football, and we'll see how it transpires. Because as we know, Brock Purdy exited the game against Philly and ended up having a sprained UCL, and says it's going to take about 6 weeks, 6 months to really heal, or 6 weeks or 6 months. I'm sorry, I gotta make sure I check the stat on that, but he's going to be out for an extended period of time. He's been seeking second opinions from other doctors. And it just kind of it puts the Niners in a limbo with quarterback because Jimmy Garoppolo. It looks like he's not gonna be coming back to the Niners. They can't franchise tag him again to bring him back. Trey Lance is still recovering from the season-ending injury that he had, and now we have Brock Purdy. In my opinion, I think Brock Purdy's earned that. I understand if you want to have an open competition, give Trey Lance one more shot at it because he didn't really get a fair shot. I mean, he was still kind of getting his feet wet as a rookie, and as he started coming along, the injury happened. So it's going to be interesting to see how the Niners move on for next season, like who their starting quarterback will be and what they do in the draft because they have a great team that's ready to win now. I think this game obviously would have been totally different if you didn't have your emergency quarterback Christian McCaffrey in there, or basically the Niners had to abandon the pass game totally because Brock Purdy simply couldn't throw the ball. Like he was just physically unable to do it. So they just totally abandoned the pass rush. They tried to get tricky with the run game. It was just like it's hard, really impossible to win a game or let alone come back when the opposition defense knows that you're going to run and they physically can't throw. So they're going to bring the house every time. So it's going to be really hard to kind of get something going with the running game. But that's what we saw. Eagles ended up running away with the 31-7, going back to the Super Bowl for the second time in about 4 years, I believe. And city of Philadelphia was absolutely on fire. You could see people just like rioting the streets, breaking bus stops and all this stuff, ripping off like street poles. It was awesome to watch. Old Philly. And the other game, a whole lot more epic. Literally, it had me on the edge of my seat the entire time. Cincinnati, Kansas City. It's an epic matchup. Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow. A great matchup we're going to see for years to come. Joe Burrow finished with 26 out of 41 for 270 yards, one touchdown, two interceptions. Never seen Burrow's stats look like that very often. Kansas City defense, I did not think they would show up the way that they did, but they were phenomenal. They shut down Cincinnati's run game, which was very important. Joe Burrow ended up leading the team in rushing with just 30 yards. That's how great the defense was. Chris Jones and Frank Clark, they were able to get in the backfield and get to Burrow, really expose the injuries on the offensive line. But the key for me was them shutting down Joe Mixon in that running game, because once Cincinnati gets that run game going, along with the elite passing offense that they have with Chase, Higgins, and Boyd, they're very difficult to stop. And I was surprised. I thought that the Ravens would be the best defense that Cincinnati would face in these playoffs, but Kansas City stepped up and actually made some plays, which typically we haven't seen from them consistently. We've religiously talked about how Patrick Mahomes' offense and the offense has been able to kind of offset how porous their defense was. That wasn't the case. Patrick Mahomes comes in with a high ankle sprain. You know he's going to be limited with his mobility, especially. And I was impressed with the defense. I really was. Speaking of Patrick Mahomes, 29 to 43, 326 yards, 2 touchdowns. Guy is, like I've said before, he's in a class by himself as far as quarterbacks. We talk about the great ones in the NFL. We talk about Burrow. We talk about Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. Trevor Lawrence is ascending. We talk about over in the NFC. We talk about Jalen Hurts. We talk about Tom Brady before he retired. It's just you look at like the best quarterbacks in the NFL. A lot of them are in the AFC, but Mahomes showed once again that he's in the class by himself. He was able to do this on a high ankle sprain. Guys, high ankle sprains don't get better in a week or two. So if you put pressure on it, you're likely not going to be very mobile. You could see him visibly just like limping around, and the pain that he was actually dealing with for most of the game. It was just absolutely incredible to see. The X factor of the game for me going in was Isaiah Pacheco. He ended up having 80 plus total yards, 26 on the ground, but 59 was receiving. He made some incredible plays and key plays at key points in the game that to keep Kansas City's drives going. When the game seemed like it was swinging in Cincinnati's favor, Pacheco made some huge plays on offense. Travis Kelce, 7 catches, 78 yards, so under the touchdown. But the MVP of the game, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, 6 catches, 116 yards, and a touchdown. He was absolutely phenomenal. And we said going in that someone other than Travis Kelce would have to step up to help out Patrick Mahomes, because he was not going to be very mobile. He wasn't going to be himself. He was going to be relatively a stationary target in a way. So very huge that Valdez-Scantling showed up the way that he did. And again, I say Pacheco and the defense. Those two elements right there, along with Pacheco, that's why Kansas City won the game. Obviously, at the end, we saw the unnecessary roughness. You know, the guy chased Mahomes out of bounds and pushed him. Got to know better than that. That essentially kind of just iced the game for them. He was going to get the first down, but you got to. It's points in the game where like stuff like that simply can't happen, and you feel bad for the guy. You know, the camera was kind of zoomed in on him for most of that last sequence, ending of the game, until the game-winning field goal by Harrison Butker. You know, it's kind of what sports TV does. Like when a guy makes that mistake of that magnitude, the camera goes right to him, and it's unfortunate. There was video out of his teammates basically icing him out. Just because they're upset. Obviously, it's a playoff game. It's a championship. It's a chance to go to the Super Bowl, and that happens. I mean, you can't throw your team under the bus like that, especially with like how many cameras and how much audio we have, especially in pro sports. So that was tough to watch, honestly, because I kind of felt that for him, being a former athlete myself. You gotta pick your teammate up no matter what, even though he knows he messed up. Like what he did was dumb, but you don't like publicly out him like that. I didn't appreciate that from that whoever that Cincinnati Bengal guy was. I don't really know his name at the moment, but I thought that was a little excessive. But regardless, that's a play that couldn't happen, and you essentially just gave Mahomes an extra 15 yards, and they ran the clock out, and that's how the game ended. But amazing game to watch. Having you on the edge of my seat. I was sitting here thinking that the tide of the game was shifting towards Cincinnati in the fourth quarter. They ended up winning that quarter 7-3, and I'm thinking like this is made for like another Cincinnati long drive, and then they'll win it on a last-minute field goal, dramatic fashion, and then go back to the Super Bowl. That's what I was thinking. But then we saw just Burrow having a couple of interceptions was just like I didn't see that coming at all. He's been so smart with the football. He's been so efficient. I was surprised that he threw two interceptions. But little plays here and there made by the Kansas City defense really is how this game became what it was. And it's gonna be interesting to see how the Super Bowl turns out. As it gets to the Super Bowl, Philadelphia Eagles, Kansas City Chiefs. We're gonna talk about it here. It's been talked about for the past week or so. We have, for the first time in NFL history, we have two starting quarterbacks who happen to be black. It's for the first time. It's special. Mahomes said it himself, like it's really special, and it's awesome. It's really awesome to see. It does speak how far the NFL has come from where it used to be. I'm gonna give you a little Black History lesson here, because this is Black History Month. It's really important that we know our history and know the importance and the significance of this month. The first ever black quarterback in the NFL to actually start an NFL game was a man by the name of Marlon Briscoe. He played for the Denver Broncos, which at the time was an AFL team, way back in 1968. He was considered the very first black quarterback to start in the modern day NFL. What was crazy, and this is what leads me into my next story. He started his rookie year as a defensive back, but when the starting quarterback got injured, that's when he got put in to play quarterback. The knock for the longest time is that quarterbacks who happen to be running quarterbacks, and I'm just going to go ahead and say black quarterbacks, it's always, you should convert to wide receiver, you should convert to defensive back, you should convert to running back. All these different positions, but you can't play quarterback. They'll do that with high school athletes. High school quarterbacks have converted to wide receivers, converted to tight ends, any other position except quarterback. We've seen that often with black quarterbacks. You don't hear a lot about, white quarterbacks who are asked to change positions or will change positions. They stay quarterback. I'm not saying that it hasn't happened before. I mean, Christian McCaffrey played quarterback before, and he's a running back now. So I'm not going to sit here and say that it's never happened with white quarterbacks, but too many times we see this, particularly with black quarterbacks. We can go as recent as Lamar Jackson, coming out of Louisville, Heisman Trophy winner, playing quarterback. He gets to the draft, runs his 40. They ask him those same questions. Why don't you convert to a wide receiver? Why don't you convert to running back? Lamar Jackson said, I'm a quarterback, and I'm going to work out as a quarterback. And it's just, this is a day where we should be proud, because it shows that that narrative needs to stop. It's continued, and it probably will continue in some cases, if we're being totally honest. But the whole, like, a running quarterback or a black quarterback can't process the information, he can't make quick decisions, can't throw the ball down the field, all this stuff they said about Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts' story is remarkable. It's a story of real perseverance and sticking to your guns and trusting yourself and believing in your abilities. As some of us know, I'm a big Alabama football fan. We watched the national championship back when Alabama was playing Georgia. Jalen Hurts didn't look great. Nick Saban made a gutsy call and benched Jalen Hurts in the national championship in favor of Tua Tagovailoa. Tua came in, won the game in the second half, throwing that long touchdown bomb to seal the deal. The legend of Tua began, and we were wondering what to think of now about Jalen Hurts. They were talking bad about him. They were saying that he's not really that good of a quarterback. Stays at Alabama instead of immediately transferring, and backs up Tua. A lot of people may not remember this, but Tua, there was a big game, and Tua actually got hurt. Had to be carted off. Had to be not carted off, but like he had to leave the field. Jalen Hurts comes in, fills in admirably, and wins that game in comeback fashion, I believe. I can't remember like the exact game that was, but I remember watching that, and it was just so significant because in college sports today, we have the transfer portal. A lot of athletes are just like using that basically just like whenever they want, and it's like most players in that situation probably would have immediately transferred had they known they lost their job. Jalen Hurts stayed, and it speaks volume because I think transferring isn't always the answer. For you, it's like, okay, you lost your job, and it's understandable why you would want to, but the fact that Hurts stayed, got better, and backed up his friend Tua, who I mean these guys are actually friends. Backed up his friend and stayed ready for Alabama. I think that was key in propelling him to eventually go into Oklahoma. He became a starting quarterback at Oklahoma. Absolutely lit it up. Became a Heisman Trophy finalist. Gets drafted pretty early. Gets drafted in the first round by Philly. Everyone's like, oh, it's another project. They'll probably use him as a gadget quarterback. Quarterback draws. Read option. Same old stuff they say about Lamar Jackson. Same stuff they said about Justin Fields. Just the same old mode. Look where he is now. Last year when the Philly lost to Tampa Bay, Hurts looked pretty bad. Didn't have a good game. Looked like, and then going to the offseason, all over ESPN, everyone's talking about, oh, well, Philly drafted another quarterback. This is a make or break year for Jalen Hurts. This is in year 2. Like, he just took over for Carson Wentz. Had a bad playoff game, and now it's make or break for him. Same thing with Tua. Make or break year. Why? Meanwhile, we see like other quarterbacks basically stink it up, and they get more chances. There's no talk about them potentially being moved or released or stuff like that, or drafting another quarterback. You just don't hear about it as much. But it's literally one bad performance or one bad year. It's like immediately a make or break for a rookie. Jalen Hurts is a rookie, and it's already a make or break for him in the second year. I know Patrick Mahomes kind of reset the bar as far as quarterback starting in their first year, but let's be realistic. There's not too many Patrick Mahomes out there. There's not too many Aaron Rodgers out there. There's not too many Tom Brady's. There's not too many, Lamar Jacksons. Lamar's won a lot of games in his. He brought the Ravens back from a 4-5 record. Looked like they were dead in the waters, but he carried them to the playoffs. You don't have that with every quarterback. And so the fact that Jalen Hurts endured all of that, went into the offseason and got better, they decided to put a team around him finally. Like, this is a team that actually put weapons around Jalen Hurts in order for him to get better. Because, the quarterback can get better each year, obviously. We all can get better. But the team has to improve. Philly was missing things to help Jalen Hurts get better. So credit to the front office. They went out and got A.J. Brown, drafted Devontae Smith, improved that offensive line. Jalen Hurts had everything he needed to be successful. And Philly's been the most dominant team in the NFL all season long, in my opinion. Jalen Hurts, in my opinion, he just fell short of the MVP only because he missed those couple of games. And we saw what Philly looked like without him, because there were comments made by Micah Parsons of the Dallas Cowboys saying that, oh, it's more so the system and what's around Jalen Hurts. It's not just Jalen Hurts. I respectfully disagree with him then, and he definitely looks wrong now, because we saw what Philly looked like without him. They didn't win. Probably should have beat Dallas with Gardner Minshew, but they didn't win. Jalen Hurts coming back, they win. And it's just a credit to him, and just like the commitment and the faith in himself, and the faith that the organization actually showed in him and gave him what he needed to be successful. That was big and key for me. So I'm proud of Jalen Hurts that he's made it to the Super Bowl. I'm happy for him. It's hard for me to root against him. I'm at the moment I'm picking the Chiefs to win, but I'm not gonna be mad at all if Philly and Jalen Hurts win this championship next Sunday. I wouldn't be mad at all. I'd be happy. Same with Patrick Mahomes, because this is bigger than just any Super Bowl or any football game. And there's people out there who are going to ask, like, well, why is it always about race? Why do we keep talking? Why do we keep bringing that up? Because we have to. Because we simply have to. It's going to keep coming back. This notion about how the black quarterback can function in the NFL. Can he process information? Can he actually throw down the field? Can he really actually be an NFL quarterback? Or should he convert to another position? That narrative until that narrative is gone, and it's next week, I feel like it's gonna go away. We got to bring it up, and we're gonna talk about it, and we should be excited. We should be proud of both of these guys, and we should expect a very good game. The notion of the running quarterback, can you actually win with that type of quarterback? Jalen Hurts is destroying that narrative, and he has one more game to totally shut it down, in my opinion. And guys like Lamar Jackson, Justin Fields, they're probably sitting back, cheering for Jalen Hurts, probably more so. I mean, Mahomes already has a championship, so we're good. I mean, but this guy's chasing. This guy's also trying to chase the likes of Tom Brady. I think he has a chance still to have a legacy that to rival Brady. I'm not sure if he'll actually catch 7 championships. Like that's just insane. But we talk about a guy that can actually rival the legacy and career of a Tom Brady. I think this guy Pat Mahomes has a chance to do that. He just there's not a throw he can't make. He's hard to bring down. He's when healthy, he's mobile as well. It's like Aaron Rodgers mixed with Tom Brady. You know, the guy's just absolutely phenomenal. It's the reason why he got that $500 million deal. People say, like, you know, that's ridiculous. Why would you pay a guy that watch him play and watch that team with him? Losing, like, no Tyreek Hill. Everyone thought things were going to be super different. You know, the offense probably wouldn't be as explosive, probably wouldn't be as good. The offense actually evolved. Now it's not, you don't worry about 1 or 2 guys. Now you got to, like, worry about multiple guys. Kadarius Toney, Juju Smith-Schuster, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Fortson, Travis Kelce, Isaiah Pacheco. The offense, the ball was being spread to multiple guys now, which makes it even harder, even more difficult to deal with. Tyreek Hill was an absolute game breaker. Like, please don't get me wrong. Having Tyreek Hill on that team made them almost impossible to stop. But now you see like how Kansas City again, number 1 in points, number 1 overall offense, just they didn't miss a beat. And that's Mahomes. That's the evolution of Mahomes. Now he's not just zeroing in on 1 or 2 guys. Now he's spreading the ball around, which in turn has made him even better. And that's why I feel like he's the MVP because look, take him off that team, Kansas City. No, they're not going anywhere. And again, just the fact that you lose Tyreek Hill and you're right back in the Super Bowl, you were just as good, dare I say, better without him. And to me, and I think only because Jalen Hurts missed a couple of games, I would say the MVP should definitely be Patrick Mahomes. It's just remarkable what he's been doing. The last black quarterback to ever win a Super Bowl was Warren Moon back in the 80s with Washington. That's the last black quarterback we've seen win it. And Herm Edwards said something, the great coach Herm Edwards said something on ESPN that, you know, I felt it. He is saying that although he's very proud and very happy of what we're seeing, he wants to get to a point where we stop talking about this, like first black this, first black that. And I get it. I do understand it because, like, again, the NFL's made great progress. You know, they've from where they were. But it's like he wants us to kind of like get to the point where it's normal. We don't have to highlight it so much. We don't have to, like, you know, get so deep into it where it's like, well, why did it take so long for us to get here? And then Stephen A kind of countered respectfully and kind of said what I said. We got to bring it up. We got to talk about it, and we should be proud, and we should be proud to highlight it because of everything that a lot of black players have endured. Everything I just said about how each black quarterback that comes out of high school, out of college, going into the draft, is always asked to change positions. Until that stops, we got to keep talking about it. So, although I sympathize with Coach Herm Edwards, I also respectfully disagree in that regard. Just only because it's a victory that we've been waiting for so long, that it took so much to get there, that it's important. It's so important that we highlight it. Again, Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, first black quarterback duo to meet in the Super Bowl, just very significant. And just I'm proud of both of those guys. Looking forward to a great Super Bowl. And so, my pick, I'm going to say the Chiefs by 3. I'm going to say it's going to be a very close game. I'm talking possibly high scoring, but not super high scoring. I would say 27-24 Chiefs. Now, I reserve the right to change my pick. We'll see how the Super Bowl goes. We'll see how everything turns out. But right now, I'm going to say I'm going to go with the Eagles in a nail biter. This is going to be a relatively short show today because I wanted to get into one last point about a man named Tyre Nichols. As a lot of you know, a lot of you have probably seen the video. A lot of you heard the story by now. This man was beaten to death by 5 police officers. And I remember sitting the next morning when I first saw the video, just kind of sitting here, just angry, confused, and just really sad. that we continue to see this. We continue to, and the thing that really ticked me off the most is that this is 5 black police officers. This man was all of 180 pounds, 190 pounds, and it took 5 cops to subdue him. But they weren't subduing him. They were taking turns beating him up, kicking him, stomping on him, punching him. All being like maybe a block or 2 away from his mother's house. And the thing that broke my heart was that you can hear him calling out to his mother, screaming for help. These 5 officers were caught on a street side camera with everything that was going on because they were figuring out how they could cover this up, how they could make it seem like they were defending themselves, or that the suspect had something that was threatening to them or something like that. They didn't know about the street camera, and so it caught everything. Memphis police did the right thing by immediately not putting them on administrative leave, not putting them on basically a paid vacation. They fired them and they arrested them. I got to talk about this from my perspective. I've never been comfortable around police officers for a very long time in my life, if I'm being totally honest. Some of my friends in the past have laughed, saying why are you so afraid or whatever? Why are you cringing? I literally cringe when I'm around police officers, if I'm being totally honest. And this is the latest example, because now it's not a race thing, it's a police thing. These are 5 black police officers that did this to an unarmed black man, literally a minute away from his mother's house. And I put myself in that position. It was like, that's one of the scariest things I could think of, is that I'm in real trouble, and I'm calling out to my mother close to my house because the police officers got me, and I didn't do anything. I didn't have anything on me. You just felt like you needed to use brutal force. It's pathetic, it's cowardly, and it's evil. To have that kind of malicious attitude or malicious, just overall, this is what you wanted to do. You wanted to hurt this man, you wanted to kill him. There's no way around that. This is what you felt like you needed to do, and I'm really tired of seeing these stories. I'm tired of us just begging to feel safe. Police and law enforcement are on the streets to make us feel safe. I don't feel safe. I haven't felt safe for a very long time around police officers. I don't. When they're near me, I cringe. When I'm driving on the road, I cringe. That's how I feel about it. We need law enforcement. I'm not gonna go as far as say we need to just not have law enforcement. That's ridiculous in my opinion. We gotta have law enforcement for obvious reasons. But this overall and the process of becoming a police officer, in my opinion, is not thorough enough at all. There's no real background check. There's no checking to see who are we bringing in to the force? Who are we giving a gun to? Who is the person that we're giving a lethal weapon to use? And then all this notion about just comply, and you'll be fine. I remember watching a video. It was a white person getting stopped by a white police officer. Basically a tutorial on what it means to comply to a police officer if you have a gun in the car, if you have a weapon. And I remember just being so angry, just seeing that halfway through, you gotta be kidding me. This isn't a comply thing. If you watch that horrible video with Tyre Nichols, what did he do to remotely seem threatening to the cops? What did he do? What did he have on him? What did George Floyd have on him? What did Trayvon Martin have on him? What did Mike Brown have on him? And all this, we keep seeing this too often, along with school shootings. And we try to find reasoning behind it. We try to find an excuse for why they would think to do this. There's no more excuses. There's no more trying to figure out what they did. I have a hard time, even harder time now, because these are 5 black police officers that did this to a black man, unarmed once again, none of that. and you decided to kill him. I don't feel safe around you. When you're around, I don't feel safe. It needs to be said. And I'm not trying to dispunge on police officers. We need law enforcement. We need them around it. But I'm sorry to say that I truly don't feel safe and I don't trust you. And this is the latest thing where it's like it's not a race thing anymore. This is blue. This is police officers. There's some great police officers that I have met in my time. So I'll say that. But at the same time, the policing needs to be addressed. The system, the process of bringing people into a police force needs to be addressed because clearly they're not paying that close of attention. You can't just bring anybody off the street and not know who they are, what their intentions are when you give them a gun. The badge isn't a license to kill. The badge is to protect and serve. At least that's what the slogan is supposed to be. So for me, I've lost faith in that. I've lost trust in that slogan of protecting and serving. And it's been that way for a very long time. And unfortunately, this is the latest example of why I feel this way and why even worse now that I've lost more trust or what little I had left, to be honest. And so I pray, I send my, and really the best thing I can do is just like send my prayers out to the mother of Tyre Nichols and his family, because their son was stolen from them by 5 cowards who decided that it was okay just to brutally beat this man up with no reasoning behind it. They were trying to find a lie, create a lie so they could get away with it. That's a type of evil and malicious behavior that has to stop. This isn't the police force. We know that there are people out there who think this way. They're fine with it. Just comply, or just do this, just do that. We can't change our skin color. We can't change the way that we look. There's times where I literally been like scared, like, am I next? Could I be driving home one night if I have a hood up, or even just like being in the wrong place at the wrong time, my music too loud, anything. And that's a real scary thought that I take very seriously. And it shouldn't be. And look, it's just everywhere. It's not just in Baltimore. It's not just in Detroit, Philly. It could be literally anywhere. Texas, Florida. It's really hard for me to kind of get to the point where I feel safe and I can trust, law enforcement. I'll be cordial if I'm walking into a 7-Eleven or if I'm going somewhere. I'm always gonna be cordial. I'm always gonna treat them with respect. Say hello or give them a nod when I'm walking by. Because it's important to still be a person. It's important to be cordial. It's important to be respectful. But it's going to be with a guarded attitude and a very cringy feeling that I'm going to have when I'm near you. And again, I'm sorry to say that, but I got to be honest about it. And again, I just want to say rest in peace to Tyre Nichols. I want to send my deepest prayers and condolences with that family and all the families that have been affected just by this senseless, evil behavior, honestly, by law enforcement. We saw, George Floyd's video still sticks with me to this day. It's still pretty hard to watch, pretty hard to get the image out of my head, so to speak, because it's just, and then watching that cop, his face when he had his knee on his neck, that was a type of infuriating, a lot of anger, a lot of, wanting to say things and do things that were not, that wouldn't help me. That was a lot of what was going on with me when I saw that. And I feel that same kind of fury and anger now for Tyre Nichols, I'm sorry. I want to thank you guys for joining. Thank you guys for watching. You guys stay safe out there. You guys have an awesome weekend. Enjoy the Pro Bowl games. And I'll be back next Friday. We're going to break down the Super Bowl. We're going to get it going.